Welcome to this bite-sized presentation on risk assessment by Donkin Safety. This safety stand down will help us refocus attention on the principles of completing a risk assessment. This will help us control risk to a safe level. Risk assessment is all about being proactive, so allow plenty of time during the planning. It is also about being sensible. You will never ever eliminate all risk. Risk has to be a balance between time, effort, and cost, so you can bring the risk down to as low as reasonably practical. The assessment of risk is an educated and realistic calculation between two things: the hazard, that is the potential to cause harm, and the probability, that is the realistic likelihood of that harm occurring. There are 5 key steps in completing a risk assessment. Hazard identification. This can be based on manufacturer's information, but there's also your own personal experience. There's even generic lists available to help identify the key hazards. Who might be harmed? This could be yourself, the work team, colleagues, or visitors or the public. Think about the numbers involved, but be realistic. Evaluate the risk. Remember hazard and potential. If the risk is high or medium, apply a control measure to bring it down to an acceptable level. Record the key findings, particularly the control measures and any actions you intend to take. There are many generic templates available to help record this information. Review the risk assessment with colleagues, other members of the work team. Risk assessments are a living document that need to be reviewed if there are any significant changes, but at least every 3 years. To help us calculate risk, we use a 5x5 matrix, which assesses the consequences against likelihood of people being exposed. But be realistic, not everything ends in a fatality. For high and medium risk, we need to apply a control measure or a countermeasure. The effectiveness is dependent on the hierarchy of control. The most effective control is an engineering solution to eliminate the risk once and for all. We can mitigate risk using a system of control which relies on written instruction, training, and supervision. Lastly, we can take personal responsibility for safety, but this is reliant on our people control to follow instruction and being risk aware. The practical application of risk assessment followed 3 simple steps. Step 1. Identify the work activity or process and break it up into key steps or stages. Step 2. Use the 5x5 risk matrix and apply a rating to each stage. Step 3. For high and medium risk, apply a control measure using the hierarchy of control. Remember, you need to record the significant findings. There are many generic formats available to help with this. Make sure you record the actions you are about to take and when they are complete. Before you sign off on the risk assessment, consider 4 things. Competency. What is the makeup of the work team? What is the team's skill set and competency level? Safe working procedures. What procedures are there in place that you need to follow? RAMs. Risk assessment. We don't often talk about method statements. That is a full description of the work activity, including manpower, equipment, materials, and the sequence of work. Do you need a permit to work? This is again a controlled document for high-risk activities. It will take you through a thought process to ensure you have all the right controls in place before you start. Well done. You've now completed your risk assessment. You must implement the actions, brief your team on the significant findings, but more importantly, discuss the control measures you're going to adopt. Why not take a personal action away from this presentation today? Review at least one RAM. Review the risk assessment, review the method statement, and ask yourself, is this still fit for purpose? If you have any questions on risk assessment or need further support, please contact your manager or team leader or a member of the safety team. I hope you have enjoyed this bite-sized presentation on risk assessment presented by Donkin Safety.